I'm I'm Chris from All Things Good and Nerdy, a proud member of the Good and Geek Network, just like the show you're listening to right now. The opinions expressed are those of the individual hosts. Make sure you check out all the other great podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com and get ready because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
You are listening to the Starling Tribune, a podcast dedicated to the Arrow TV show.
I am the Green Arrow.
This podcast is not produced or maintained by the CW, Warner Brothers Television, CTV, or DC Comics. All characters, situations, and stories are the properties of Time Warner. I am the Oracle, and this is your Tribune.
Welcome back to Earth 2's favorite newspaper. We call it the Starling Tribune. I am the chief editor this week. My name is SP, and your other award-winning reporter for this episode number 218 of the Starling Tribune is Michelle.
I don't know what's more amusing, the fact that you just broke 6 laws in front of me, or that you're forcing me to feel empathetic about it.
Now, do you think she was, and we're talking about Lauren here, she is talking, or Laurel, excuse me. We're talking about Laurel here, and she's talking to Felicity about Felicity doing her tickety-tickety, breaking laws right in front of her. Do you think she was amused by the 6 laws broken because she's a criminal herself on Earth 2, or do you think she was speaking from the Star City district attorney, you're breaking laws in front of me and I can have you arrested?
I think it's part of, I'm a criminal pretending not to be, and then I'm now supposed to have feelings. I think Laurel's just in a weird spot.
She is. We'll talk about it later in the show. By the way, this podcast is recorded on Thursday, November 15th, 2018, live on www.geeks.live. And today we'll be discussing Arrow, the TV show, the CW DC Comics-based TV show, as well as news, interviews, articles, and announcements that have dropped in the last week that could impact future episodes of Arrow, as well as The Flash, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, and the rest of the DC TV universe.
If you're new to the show, thank you for searching us out on the internet and joining us. After the show, you can check out our content at GonnaGeek.com, where you can also find other geeky videos, podcasts, and articles.
Michelle, it's just the two of us this week. That is because it is Chris's birthday. Happy birthday, Chris.
Yes, happy birthday, Chris.
So we're just going to go ahead, give him the night off, give him a little bit of PTO, and take on the episode on our own. So in that light, Michelle, why don't you go ahead and break down the current episode of Arrow for us?
Sure thing. This episode is called The Demon. It's season 7, episode 5. It aired Monday, November 12th, 2018. It's directed by Mark Bunting, who is a first assistant director turned director. Credits include 3 episodes of Arrow in directing. Written by Benjamin Rabb. Credits include 1 Arrow, 2 The Flash, and 7 Warehouse 13. And Derek A. Hughes. Credits include 1 Arrow, 2 The Flash, and 7 Warehouse 13.
All right. We also had ratings that Michelle pulled for last week, Sunday through Tuesday. And that starts on Sunday, the 11th of November, 2018. Supergirl had the 5th episode of their 4th season titled Paradise Lost to a live rating of 1.16, which is great. That's above 1. I think that we can now say that's good ratings for CW shows, above 1. And on Monday, the 12th of November, Arrow had this episode of The Demon and had a live rating of 1.26. And I will say that's a win too, because it's above 1. However, on Monday, following Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow had the 4th episode of the 4th season, Wet Hot American Bummer, which was really a fun episode, and it only got a live rating of 0.90. Oh, Michelle, what can we do to help them?
Again, Monday's rough. There's football, I think, or there's some sports ball. And then there's going to be, I think, The Voice, which is very popular among live viewers. It's really crowded out there. And again, CW with their app and DVR numbers, we've talked about DVR numbers. They get at least 1 million boost with the DVR number. So I don't think it's as dire as it seems.
Okay. not only do we get the +7 DVR numbers, but we get the app numbers. So the total views are even more than the million boosts. We just don't know what the app views are because they don't give them unless they're somehow incorporated into the Live Plus 7-day ratings, which I don't think they are. But in any event, we'll continue on for the rest of the week. Tuesday, the 13th of November, Flash had the 5th episode of the 5th season, titled All Dolled Up, to a live rating of 1.73, which is kind of low for the Flash. It's under 2. I consider a good week for the Flash to be about 2, but they get almost a 2 million bump, right?
Yeah, anywhere from 1.5 to 2 million.
So that's good for them. And then following the Flash, Black Lightning had the 5th episode of the 2nd season, entitled The Book of Blood, Chapter 1, Requiem, to a live rating, just like Legends of Tomorrow, to 0.90, which is kind of disappointing for that show because it started out so strong last year.
Well, the ratings for the CW shows, like the ones we talk about, are actually down from what we, from last year. Again, I think there's a lot of cord cutting, a lot of DVR views, a lot of app views.
All right. It'd be interesting once again if the CW could come clean with some information on that. And then we would love to report it here on the Starling Tribune. Now, moving away from ratings, let's get back to the episode at hand. That's Arrow the Demon. And Michelle, what can we ascertain about the episode's theme from that title?
We get to find out who the demon is. And I thought about maybe talking about it later, but you know what? No, I want to talk about it now. I want to get to the good stuff. Let's do the good stuff. Oliver is in level 2. He's in his cell. Someone breaks in. They fight. And in one of the best reveals ever, he gets him on the ground and he looks. And who is it, SP?
It's Talia al Ghul, his former, I don't know, can we say former ex-sister-in-law, of course, and it is the daughter of somebody who he killed. So, yeah, this has been great. Lexa Doig plays Talia al Ghul. She's amazing. We were looking at her IMDb before this episode just to refresh us. She was the voice of the Andromeda Ascendant and Andromeda. She was in a bunch of other stuff, including most recently Continuum, which she played a great character there. She's been in a lot of stuff. Let me give you one more thing that she's been in besides Arrow, and that would be V. She played a doctor in V, and then also she played a doctor in Stargate SG-1. She was in the original Stargate SG-1. She wasn't the original doctor, of course. That goes to another Arrow alumni, which she played Dr. Fraser, I believe. But this is an incredible actor to come on board. She's been on Arrow before. She's been Talia before. And not only that, we get a double reveal, because not only is she revealed as surviving the explosion on Lian Yu, like, okay, comic books, you kind of figured that was coming, but it is revealed at the very end, I'm going to get this one out right away, that she is the new Green Arrow.
No.
Yeah, I took a look at her quiver. Her quiver was green. She is the new Green Arrow.
She's been in level 2 too long to be the fake Green Arrow. And
I don't know.
She's Talia. She stood there in her League garb. That was League head to toe. That was a League sword. And she chopped off the head of Dr. Parker. That is Talia. Talia's not going around saving kids and hiding behind stuff. She's never been like that. She is the demon.
All right. Well, we can go with that, but her quiver was definitely green. So either they misgave her.
It looked black to me.
Oh, no. I saw it. I did look. I watched this episode twice, and the second time through, I was very particular because I had the same concerns about the suit. And it could have just been a quiver that they had, and maybe the lighting was not what they wanted, and they wanted her in all black. But at the very end, when she's going after the doctor in the parking lot, with the sword, her quiver, if you take a look at a back shot, her quiver is green. Now, that's the only discernible green I had on her entire costume, because the rest of it did look flat black. But the quiver was definitely green.
She's been in level 2. Who knows? She says that she ran afoul of an old foe in Gotham.
I was going to ask you about that because I don't watch Gotham. I mean, has Talia al Ghul been in Gotham?
Well, that's the Fox TV show, and
I,
unfortunately,
I didn't. Yeah, okay, so this actor wouldn't be in there, but is the character been in Gotham?
Raish has been in, but not his daughter.
Okay.
Um,
And
but
it is a reference to Gotham, which we are going to be within the crossover, right?
yes.
Okay.
So who knows in this universe if it's Batgirl or if it's the actual Batman or something else. But we got a name drop of Gotham in Arrow, and then we had a name drop in Gotham in this week's Flash. So they are dropping the Gotham crumbs all the way to the crossover.
Nice. I love the crumb drops. I haven't been noticing him too much in the other shows. Full disclosure, I've not seen this week's Flash, so I don't know if they gave any hints in this week's Flash, but I know that they definitely did this drop this week in Arrow, so that's good. So we got Talia as the demon, and also I don't know if she's the one that's been manipulating everything in the prison, if Diaz is the one that's been manipulating everything in prison, or if it's still the sidekick. I can't tell who's been pulling the strings in Slabside.
Well, she said that the reason why she was able to survive is a drug that Diaz provided. And in exchange for the drug, she basically messed with Oliver in prison. That she got the guy to attack him, did the shower fight, said that Felicity was dead. So it seems as though she was the agent for Diaz in the prison. Now, is she the only one? Maybe not. Could Stanley, who was conveniently there during visiting
That
hours
was way too convenient.
when Felicity was there, like it's either A, it's Stanley is maybe either a Diaz plant or a mastermind criminal of his own right, or to quote Neil, because plot. Um, Either way, he was there conveniently. Felicity somehow was allowed to sit down in front of this random prisoner, which is actually not allowed. You have to be there for a specific, you just can't visit randomly.
That's what makes me think it's not just happenstance. I think it was set up because of that reason.
But he was able to get to her that, Oliver's in level 2. And that, of course, sparks Felicity to get with Dinah and Laurel to dig around boxes and help Oliver expose Parker.
Let's back up a second. Let's go back to Talia because the second time I watched through it, I was very interested in Oliver and Talia's relationship and their discourse between them throughout the episode. At first it appeared like Talia wanted to help everybody. She was like, "Oh no, you don't realize what's going on here. We need to get out of here to escape." Plus, maybe I insinuated that she wanted to help them, and then it flip-flopped that Oliver wanted to help him, but Talia didn't. And then they had to make a deal in order to make it all happen together. So I got a little bit lost in that because I felt that Talia was really manipulating Oliver.
Well, she's like, you don't know what people are doing in here. We have to leave. I want your help. You are here because you're the only one who's actually capable to actually help me escape because you are on my level. Oliver actually drank the Kool-Aid.
Oh,
he
yeah.
he was like, no, I'm not going to do this because I'm inmate 4587. And then he sees the big guy get killed. And then he's talking to Dr. Parker about, well, isn't it wrong that this guy died under your care? And Dr. Parker's like, look, in science, sometimes you have failures. And Oliver's just like, well, wait a minute. He's dead. Maybe that shouldn't be acceptable. And then Dr. Parker's are like, no. You're having a relapse. You're not supposed to be the hero that cares. You need to focus on yourself. And then after that, it's almost like that flicked the switch of, oh yeah, I'm Oliver Queen. we need to get out of here. Not so much we need to get out of here, the information needs to get out of here, and I can have Talia do that. And they orchestrate an amazing escape sequence, which of course starts with that staged fight in the common area.
Yeah, you had a little bit of Mr. and Mrs. Smith going on there. That was great, where they were fighting each other. Actually, when Talia swung the knife at Oliver to begin with, I am still a little bit confused on that, because it did look like she connected, but there was no rip in the shirt. There was no blood or anything in Oliver's shoulder. So he must have gotten out of the way, leaned back enough for the knife not to hit her. So that was all a setup, including the end when they're like, gosh, I need a nap. I would need a nap after doing that, all that too. And then they wake up in the examination room or the green door room or whatever it is. It's different than the interrogation room. It's more like the experimental room. And they're going to be experimented on. And then Oliver's like, takes them to town. He's the Green Arrow. He goes after it. And Talia's like, oh, so you have learned a thing or two. And then they take a drill, get their bracelets off, which that's kind of fun. Like a drill is going to be able to get those. I mean, if I'm a prison, no drill is going to be able to get bracelets off that fast. But okay, I'll do a kneel because brought.
Hey,
And
not only in that room was the computer with all the information there. That drill just happened to be there.
Right.
I mean, we learned that level 2 is not sanctioned, so perhaps they just don't know how to spend their money wisely, and their bracelets aren't that great.
Don't have the right procedures in place because there's no civilian oversight.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so then they get out, and then starts, and I did read your tweets, by the way, and you're like, hallway fight, hashtag hallway fight. So this was a hallway fight that's been in this series, and it wasn't like the Daredevil season 1 hallway fight, because it wasn't all in one cut or two cuts. It was many cuts, but it was some amazing action between everybody. So glad to see the action back here in Arrow this season. Yeah, it could be a little bit better, but I'll take what we get, because this is better than what we've gotten in the past 2 years. It's amazing back to the fights.
Oh my goodness. Talia had those 2 sticks. Oliver had the chains. I mean, at one point he like grabbed one of them and by the neck and like pulled him.
I gotta ask you, Michelle, do you think the jerk motion of it, because it was a stuntman, you could clearly tell that he had some padding around his neck, so, or her neck, so nothing happened. But do you think the jerk motion happened because of that chain around the neck, or do you think there was a little wire work from the back pulling that person behind? Which one do you think?
Oh, they would have had like a wire and that would have been very carefully choreographed. So there probably was a combination of a wire and like a regular leak back just in case, because that's, you got a chain going on there.
Yeah, and if you take, like I said again, if you take a look, there is definitely a large pad around the neck. But wow, that was just amazing to watch. Like if you're not watching close enough, you just see it happening. Although the scene starts, and it's all in one cut for what I remember. The scene starts with the riot police, riot guard, whatever, facing Oliver. And then Oliver puts the chain around the guard's neck, spins the guard around. So then the back is to the back of the hallway. And that's when the jerk happens. So if there is wire work going on, I have never done this and I've never seen it. So I don't know how exactly it works. But if they did that, the wire had to be behind the guy as he's facing Oliver and then tightened up as the guy turned around as Oliver put the chain on the neck. So amazing choreography either way, fight choreography either way. And that was one of the amazing things. And then later, you're talking about the sticks. Then later, Oliver is letting Talia escape down the morgue well or whatever it is. And he puts out the riot sticks. Did you see he kind of lifted his little toe up like he was like figure skating or something? I was thinking like toe pick. You see that?
I know. It was just, I loved it. I loved it right from the moment when Oliver and Talia's there and Talia looks at all the riot guys and she's like, don't they realize they're outmatched? And it was just, oh my goodness. You know, Netflix is a different beast than network television. Netflix series have the luxury of filming an episode in a month. They will take, almost 6 months to do those 13 episodes. They have this, luxury. When it comes to network television, they've got, 8 days. And the fact that we've got this high caliber of a hallway fight, I was just amazing. I watched this episode again as well. I just loved that fight. I could go back and just watch that fight again and again. I loved it so much.
It was great. It was great watching both times. I was kind of tired the first time I watched it because it was late at night, but then I watched it on the elliptical, and it was a pump up moment, that's for sure. And Talia gets away. She gets away with the drive. Oliver makes her promise that she's going to get the drive to Felicity, and they say okay, and then they part, and it's not the last time I think we're going to see the two together. Like I was saying before, I think Talia might have something to do, if not the new Green Arrow. She's got to have something to do with the Green Arrow. So we're definitely going to see Talia again. This is not somebody that's been going away, but Talia made this episode. If not for Talia, this would have kind of been maybe a plotting episode, just like the rest have been, but you knew something had to happen in order for him to escape level 2, either get out of there like he did or get out of Slabside completely. Remember, the crossover's coming up soon. We know Oliver is in the crossover, but since it's elsewhere, this could all be a dream of Oliver's. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, they do set it up. Laurel seems as though she's going to try to do legal things because apparently in 6 months you can learn how to be a DA, and she's going to try to, do some stuff. It does open up the door for a way to get Oliver perhaps released on a technicality or get his sentence reduced. Because again,
Maybe.
he was part of an illegal prison program.
Now, did you see the preview for next week?
Yes.
Did you see and I won't say what was said if somebody wants to remain unspoiled, but did you see the little conversation that he was having with Laurel in the prison visitor area?
Yeah.
Do you remember what he said to her?
No.
He basically said that if she was a real lawyer, she'd be able to do it, get him off. So I don't know if that happened in the throes of the legal action or if that was after the fact and she lost and he was stuck in prison.
Oh, snap. Oliver getting sassy.
Well, after, kowtowing as prisoner 4587 for a while, it's nice to get him sassy. It's nice to have the old Oliver Queen back.
Well, we had another little story, and that was with Diggle and Curtis. Curtis got to go on a little mission, and I don't know what to make of Curtis in this episode. We learned that he has 14 PhDs. He speaks 6 languages. He's, the bronze medal winning Olympic athlete. But he gets cold feet about going into the field.
He had been deeply affected by the events from last year, and he wanted to move ahead with his life. Remember, the guy's even divorced because of everything that happened. So he's trying to get his life back together, and I could see him taking a back seat. I think this episode was meant to just show that he can get back in the saddle, number one. Number two, remind us how capable he really is, because at the end, he just turned it on like a switch, and he was there. And it did that, but I agree, the lead into it wasn't very good. So we didn't really see Curtis not being comfortable in his position. I mean, he's very comfortable, and he had no desire to do what Diggle did. And there were plot inconsistencies all over the place, and here's one. So they sit down with whoever it is from Argus DC. I don't know if it's deputy director or whatever. So they sit down in front of this guy, and they give away the fact that they were off mission for 23 minutes. And the guy seems not to care. But in that exchange, it appears that Diggle does not know why the guy is there. But then Diggle rolls right into, oh, yes, Curtis, by the way, we need you to pose as this doctor guy. So I didn't know what to make of that. Either it's really poor writing. Diggle was trying to portray like he didn't know why he was there, or I don't know. Michelle, do you remember what I'm talking about? It seemed like a really odd sequence of events.
Yeah, because the guy has to end up telling Curtis, oh, by the way, it's an order. And then later on, we get Diggle having to do the pep talk, remind him that, he's Mr. Terrific. I would have figured, considering the chain of command, because the last time Curtis didn't want to be in a meeting with that guy. I don't know. It seems as though the order should have gone from the guy to Diggle, and then because Diggle was in charge of the op in the field, and then it should have gone from Diggle to Curtis, right?
Okay. The guy's name, by the way, is Deputy Director Bell. I think we've seen him before, but I just checked the casting on the episode. So he is Argus's deputy director. And I think they put the character in there so that Diggle's not there all the time with his wife. And I don't know if there's a contractual thing limiting the number of appearances or whatever. So that's why Bell is there. But again, it was just, I didn't know what to make of it. And honestly, the plot reason is exactly what you said. And for Diggle to be kind of the voice of reason to say, oh, by the way, Curtis, you really need to get back on the ball, T-Sphere joke here. And that he is indeed Mr. Terrific. But under the guide, under the agreements, he really can't. Can he use his powers, use his suit, use his tech as an Argus employee, or is he prevented from doing any of that stuff?
Well, legally speaking, it technically belongs to Palmer Tech, I guess.
Is Palmer Tech still in business now? I don't even know.
Yeah, no, but then he would have developed it on his own. He's not allowed to be Mr. Terrific and act as a vigilante, but if Argus purchases his technology or gives him permission to use his technology, then I guess it would not be in violation of the immunity agreement because Argus is a government thing, and that would be
a vigilante. Yeah.
Yeah, he wouldn't be a vigilante.
Mm-hmm.
But I did like how there was like the gun in the thing, and he was able to get down and it shot all those guys, and then he was just able to go get Bird and disarm the bomb. It was great to see Curtis like that. I am disappointed that Diggle kind of was just dad 2 weeks in a row. He did that thing with Dinah last week, being the sage, coming in. Remember, Quentin would have done this and gave Dinah that pep talk. And then this week he's being Dad Diggle again. I love Dad Diggle. I love Diggle when he's like that, but I like it when he's doing a little bit more than just being dad.
There is nobody left to be that father figure, that mother figure. Diggle's it. He's the old man on the totem pole, basically. And I don't even know if I think he's older than Oliver. And Oliver's the same age as Felicity, probably older than Felicity, but he's the same age as Laurel and probably older than Renee. So I would say Diggle's the old man on the show right now. So that automatically transitions to him, but still, Diggle's supposed to be a field agent, really, and running ops of Argus. So for him, you know what? He really should be the deputy director. He should be calling the shots in Argus right now versus being a field op. And then he slips into this dad role. I don't know. You're right. It's a little bit confusing. They only have so much cast to run through on the show, and they're just going to default to that. I hope that they don't only default to that. Now, remember, earlier on in the season, Diggle had that amazing railroad car fight. And so he's not just been the guy behind the scene. He's been out there. Maybe he's just learning his choreography for the next fight.
I hope so. I just thought it was interesting that it was done 2 weeks in a row.
I think there's a lot of prep going on for the crossover right now. That's kind of what I was alluding to before, because I'm just seeing the foot come off the gas pedal just a little bit. Not that this was a bad episode. This was still a good episode. I'm being very critical about the episode because I think it could have been made just a little bit better, but it's obvious to me their attention is on that crossover.
Yeah, because in Supergirl, she was in this suit for an episode, and you can tell that it was probably just a stunt person in the suit, and it was just the actor in some screen because it looked like sort of like an Iron Man thing, and they could have just filmed that while they're doing the crossover. So it is very convenient for Supergirl to actually be in this suit where you couldn't see her face for a majority of the episode until like the end or whatever. It's like, oh, okay, she can come in and shoot for a day and then go off and do the crossover.
Yeah, some of those scenes, we won't ever cover the Supergirl episodes specifically, but some of those scenes of her in the suit, and she was in a suit, if you haven't seen the episode, because the atmosphere had kryptonite gas or dust in it. So just breathing the air was making her, sick and losing her powers and basically zapping her life force from her. So she gets in this suit, which Lena Luthor has constructed, that isolates her from getting any more contaminated, but she can still move around. And I was scratching my head over that versus being in a bubble, bubble room, bubble girl, bubble boy sort of thing. And I could only think that they were doing it exactly because of what you're saying, is that they were just using a body double while they were doing something else. Remember, the crossover was shot over an extensive amount of time, and they could have started right about now. So what you're seeing is let's talk about this episode of Arrow. You do not see Renee. He is not part of this episode. And you do not get any flash forwards either. I don't think there's going to be any flash forwards during the crossover. I mean, there might, but I don't think there will be. But even if there are, that is a great opportunity for them this episode to film some of those scenes for the crossover or learn some of the choreography or something.
I don't think there'll be time for flash forwards in the crossover. It's only 3 nights this time,
Right.
instead of 4.
But it's an Elseworld. So I guess I'm sorry, I didn't take that thought complete. Those characters could be real time in the Elseworlds. I guess William couldn't, nor could future Zoe. So really just Roy and Dinah, but she's also here. So just Roy.
Who knows? It's getting very intriguing about this crossover. And we have a little news bit about that later on. At the end of the episode, so Felicity put her little tracker in there, and she was able to do the tickety-tackety stuff and boost the signal.
Ticka-ticka.
Ticka-ticka, yes. Ticka-ticka, taka-taka. And Silencer is in Moscow, and she meets up with Diaz. And Diaz has finally found dear old Anatoly.
Oh, Anatoly. And we were talking about the Talia Al Ghuls and the Anatolys of the world, because we were trying to pontificate last episode about who the new Arrow could be. And it just got me thinking, Anatoly, we haven't seen Anatoly in a while. I wonder if he's not going to be on this season. And then boom, there he is. He might not be on the season for long, by the way.
I love Anatoly. I hope somehow he talks his way out of it. Perhaps offers Diaz a beer while they watch baseball.
American baseball. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be great. And the way they set up, it was the cliffhanger shot of the episode. You had Anatoly being raised up by Diaz over the edge of a building. And you got the feeling that either his neck was going to get snapped or he was going to get dropped from whatever floor that they were on. So that's why I said you don't know how long Anatoly is going to last. But yeah, I hope it's just a cliffhanger and that he tries to redeem himself or Diaz finds him useful for some reason at the beginning of the next episode.
Yeah, I hope he lives. He's one of the good bad guys.
He's an entertaining bad guy.
There we go. Is there anything else about the episode you want to talk about?
Yes, we need to talk about the three girls, and I'm not going to say, any comic book meaning, because I don't think this trio has ever been a trio in the comic books before. But you had Felicity, you had Dinah Drake, and you had Laurel Lance from Earth 2, all working together to save Oliver. And yeah, that made for some interesting scenes, because you had trust, you had no trust, you had all this stuff going on, and it was interesting to watch. Felicity is not the normal Felicity. Dinah is trying to hold everything together, and Laurel is, I don't want to rehab the redemption conversation, but this definitely continued that.
Yes, she learned a new word. It's called empathy. And then even at the end of the episode, she actually was like, "Hey, Felicity, do you want to get food? I'm getting food. If you want to get food, we can go get food together."
Do you think the next dialogue for Felicity was meant for to spur some shipping going on? It came from Felicity. Are you asking me on a friend date? And there was that pause before friend date. So I was wondering if the shippers were going to get out there between the two. I personally do not ship the two. I'm sure that there are shipping between the two, but I don't think that.
I think they did it that way as a callback to an earlier season when Felicity says to Oliver, "Are you asking me out on a date?"
Okay. So just within the character. Okay.
Right.
All right.
I think that's what it was.
All right. Well, it was interesting to watch that whole thing. And now you get the feeling that the three of them are comfortable working together. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, well, the working team name, of course, is Team Felicity.
It's a work in progress.
Exactly. Well, we're going to see if Laurel can actually do her DA business next week in the episode called Due Process. It's season 7, episode 6. It will air Monday, November 19th, 2018. Slabside becomes even more dangerous after a guard is murdered and everyone is a suspect. Felicity enlists help from a surprising source in her pursuit of Diaz, and Laurel flexes her muscles as the district attorney. It's directed by Kristen Wendell and written by Sarah Tokoff and Tanya Kong.
Live from the Starling Tribune main news desk on floor 52 of the Starling Tribune Tower, it's the weekly news roundup with news anchor. I'm just going to redo that. Sorry, Heather. Live from the Starling Tribune main news desk on floor 52 of the Starling Tribune Tower, it's the weekly news roundup with chief news anchor Michelle Ely. And now, Michelle Ely.
Thanks, SP. We have a couple of news items. First, we're getting teaser trailers about the crossover. One is Barry Allen, and he's fighting Diggle. And in the process, like, he actually stops Diggle. And he realizes he doesn't actually naturally have that strength. And he pauses and he's like, "I'm the Green Arrow." And Diggle's like, "Yes." The other one is hilarious because if you've been watching The Flash, the first thing that should give you away is that Iris actually says the pancakes are ready. And if you know, Iris really doesn't cook and her pancakes are awful.
She tries to do a lightning bolt thing that no, don't have her make you pancakes.
In this one, Oliver's in bed and he gets up and he sees Iris and she kisses him. And the look on Stephen Amell's face is like, I would rather be anywhere than here, because then she calls him Barry. And again, that look of like, what? Oh my God.
Well, they did have the double wedding.
Gonna bring that up. It was kind of brought up again this week in this week's Flash. Barry and Iris are dancing, and Barry says, "We never really got our first dance, did we?"
Oh my. And Diggle was part of it too. So you had the three guys that were part of that scene right there. What I don't know if that was intentional or not, but yeah. So the last crossover last year is when the two of them got married. So we're coming up on the 1 year anniversary. Of course, this is Elseworld, so who knows what the time frame is or anything. But it is fun seeing them playing each other. And I don't know if they've ever done that in their minds, in cosplay, even in the fight scene, choreography practice. I don't know if the two have ever done that. So it's just, play your coworker for a day sort of thing. And it'll be funny watching this as it comes through. Now it starts on December 9th. Is that right? Yeah. Sunday,
Yeah.
December 9th. Yeah.
We're coming on it quick.
We are indeed.
Next bit of news is about mid-season returns of shows. As we know, the CW likes to take a break from December into late January. Well, we have return dates. The Flash will return Tuesday, January 15th. It will actually be followed by Roswell, New Mexico. Sunday, January 20th, Supergirl will return. It will also be followed by Charmed. So Charmed's not going anywhere. On Monday, January 21st, Arrow will premiere when you'll come back, followed by Black Lightning. So Black Lightning is being moved from Tuesday to Monday. And many of you are going, well, what about Legends of Tomorrow? Well, unfortunately, Legends of Tomorrow will be taking a break and won't be coming back until April 2019.
Boo.
Yeah, that's a very big boo.
So first of all, they segregate Legends of Tomorrow by not being part of the crossover. Of course, Black Lightning isn't either, but there's no established connection between Black Lightning and the rest of the universe, at least not yet. So first of all, there's that. And then second of all, to do this again to them, break it up for the rest of it. It's a fun show to watch. And it's the one besides Arrow that I am pumped to go back and watch every week. Charmed, by the way, we got to get this out from Charmed in their third episode, which I was finally getting caught up over the weekend. The third episode, they kill a podcaster. So
Boo.
I am no longer watching Charm. The producers of Charm CW, who's ever in charge of that content, let me cue you into something a little bit. So your fan base, and we've seen the ratings of CW shows. So your fan base is those people that are really passionate enough to provide the fan base with an additional content, whether it's art, because we've seen a lot of art, or blog posts, or a bunch of Twitter promotion, secondary promotion, or podcasting. And you go ahead and you make the geekiest podcaster you can, and then you kill him off in the third episode. Really, that's what you're going to do to promote people watching your show? Sorry, that's a friend of mine, Sean, who's my co-host on Voices of Defiance. He always had the shoot the dog moment. If you're going to shoot the dog, I'm not going to watch your show anymore. If you're going to kill the podcaster, I'm not going to watch your show anymore. That's the way it is. Sorry, guys. You better get your house in order, because, yeah, that's not going to work with your fan base.
Wait a minute. You were watching Charmed, even though you have your 3-year rule?
Yeah, we went over this on the Gonna Geek show. That one, I was going to be watching it while I was reading comics. Now I'm not going to watch it anymore.
Even when you read comic books?
It was a household thing.
Ah, I get it. I see. It was a house thing. It wasn't just an SP thing.
Oh, no. SP would not sit down and watch that show just for the kicks and giggles. No, that wasn't going to happen. Now SP's not going to watch the show at all.
How many Hallmark holiday movies have you watched so far?
There's been some weekend travel involved, so I'm not currently caught up on all of the shows, but I have watched a few. By the way, there's 36 Hallmark Holiday Channel movies in 2019 or the 2018 holiday season. And so far, let's see, the first week, so there's been about 8 or 9 out right now, and I've watched about half. The rest are on the DVR.
Well, that is all for the news. Now, SP, we are part of a larger podcasting network, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. I don't get to talk about this very much, but we are. We're part of the GonnaGeek.com network, and there are a bunch of other geeky shows out there. We try to throw together a lineup of podcasts that are all in the geek umbrella. So if you're liking this show, odds are you will like other shows like Game Life Balance US. Now, in Game Life Balance US podcast number 65, John returns to the show balancing not one, but two kids. Spoiler alert, he had another kid, or his wife had another kid. So the summary of this episode is, after a 5-month hiatus from podcasting, Jonathan Martin returns to the show with an update on his game life balance. He talks about welcoming a second son into his family and catches up with Cody on some of the video games they've been playing. Plus, get a sneak peek at the video games they plan on talking about in the next few episodes. The show is back! Once again, that is Game Life Balance US, episode number 56. And you can find that at GonnaGeek.com. We want to take this opportunity to thank the live listeners in the www.geeks.live chat and the download listeners and viewers. And just to remember that you can download our podcasts, you can play them on Spreaker, you can replay them on YouTube. There's a bunch of ways that you can listen to the Starling Tribune. And if you happen to have an Amazon device, you can enable our podcast as a skill. All you have to say is the activation word and then enable the Starling Tribune skill. And then you can have full player control over our podcast. You can skip back and forth between all of the episodes, and you can pause, you can play. And it's just a great thing to have as a skill versus not have a skill. So go ahead and download that. And we also now have a Discord server that you can live chat with all of the hosts on the Gonna Geek Network at www.gonnageek.com/Discord. And that's spelled DISCORD. And remember, you can always catch us live as we record at www.geeks.live at 7:30 p.m. Eastern and 4:30 p.m. Pacific on Thursdays.
We would love to hear from you. We're the Starling Tribune on Facebook and Instagram, at Starling Tribune on Twitter, and you can call us at 612-888-CAVE. That's 612-888-2283. Well, this brings us to the end of another great episode. Any last words before we sign off? At Stargate Pioneer.
Hashtag chain to the neck.
And I am at Michelle Ely, signing off with hashtag hallway fight. Oracle, I think we're done here.
This was the Starling Tribune. You can leave us feedback at GonnaGeek.com or check out our archive at StarlingTribune.com. Visit GonnaGeek.com for more podcasts. Music by Kevin MacLeod can be found at Incompetech.com. This podcast is not produced or maintained by the CW, Warner Brothers Television, CTV, or DC Comics. All characters, stories, and situations are the property of Time Warner. No infringement is intended. We will see you for the next episode of CW's Arrow.